holding you back from touching the sky? What's holding you back? You gotta fly like an eagle and go high. But what's holding you back? Holding you back from touching the sky. Oh, holding you back. You finally gotta reach for the sky. I was born to succeed, not to be a spoken or real. Told myself there's more to this than just waking up when I feel. So I made a commitment to turn my earnings up. Couldn't see myself as an employee that still couldn't. Looked in the mirror, saw a spark in my eye. Knew I had to hustle and stop living a lie. I packed my dreams in a suitcase, took the first train. I'm headed for the horizon where success is no doubt.
Greetings and welcome to another edition of What's Holding You Back. My name is Rob McCray from the Business Building Network.
And I'm Christine Allen from Clear Ambitions. How are you, Rob?
I am doing excellent, Christine. And yes, so glad to be with you as we're going to have an awesome program this afternoon, this evening, this morning, depending on where in the world you are watching us from. So we're going to have a delightful conversation, and we're going to be talking about, can one person change the world? And if so, could that very person be you? So yes, let's get into the conversation for today. And as you're jumping on board, please leave us a comment. Let us know where you're tuning in from. We would love to acknowledge you and welcome you to the broadcast. So Christine, how is the week going for you so far?
Fantastic. I'm looking forward to the conversation. It's just after 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time over here in North America. It's definitely you time. Can one person change the world? Well, if you asked me this around 20, 25 years ago, I would say no. One person can't change the world. How could that be? Well, let's get into the conversation and find out why I was wrong.
Well, time shall tell. All right, so yes, let us get into the conversation for today. But before we do that, we just want to do a brief recap of last week's program.
Sure.
Yes, and last week we talked about what brings you joy. What is it that takes you to that place of exhilaration, excitement, and just fulfillment in finding joy and peace in your life? So if you missed that program, we want to encourage you to go back and watch that video from last week, and you can watch it on both of our YouTube channels. Christine's YouTube channel is Clear Ambitions, and my YouTube channel is Rob McCray Networking. So as we get into our topic of discussion for today, can one person change the world? We always like to start off with a word of inspiration pertaining to our particular topic of the day. And that inspirational word is going to come from this man that you see on your screen now. So Christine, if you will.
Absolutely. The people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do. That's from Steve Jobs. The people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones that do. Let's think about that for a minute.
Right. So for those of you that do not know who Steve Jobs is and what major part he played in the world as we know of today, well, he is the one responsible for creating the Apple devices in which we use, whether that be the Apple phone, the iPad, or the iPod. And he is the co-founder, along with Steve Wozniak, back in 1976. And they are credited with revolutionizing the computer industry by making machines more intuitive, cheaper, and smaller, as we know of as handheld devices or our phones of today. So yes, Steve Jobs was definitely a revolutionist, and he was one that had great ambitions, and he is one that decided that he was going to make a change in the world, and he very much did so. So yes. just a little background about Mr. Steve Jobs.
Now, it all turns out to me when you're thinking about folks that are influential, because the influence is what we're speaking here. The influence that folks have when they start out with the idea to enhance the human experience and make life better, or is it just an idea that really took off and took a life on its own? And so it's interesting as we speak today and highlight some folks that are actually world changers. Let's think about, they wake up one morning and say, I'm going to change the world. They wake up one morning with an idea, and that idea then snowballed into, wow, serving humanity. So let's get into that. Well, who do you have first for us?
Yes, so when we think about or talk about different world changers, there's another individual that comes to mind. Well, a couple of individuals. Let me just give out a couple of shout outs and greetings. We have Sister Jody. Greetings, my sis. Thank you so much for joining us. So glad to have you with us on the program this afternoon. First to think it, believe it, and hope you live it to achieve it. Yes, well said, my sis. You have to think it, believe it, and hope you live to achieve it. Yes. So as long as you have that mindset and that belief that it is able and willing to be done, then so shall it be. You just have to have that belief in yourself in which you are trying to accomplish. So let's look at another current world changer. And some of you may be familiar with this gentleman that is on your screen now. And he is the current president of Burkina Faso in the continent of Africa. And he is the current president, and his name is Ibrahim Traore from Burkina Faso in Africa. And he has been the president since 2022. And something that is very interesting about this gentleman here, there have been already 18 assassination attempts on his life as we currently speak and counting, simply because he is one that has a vision to unite all of Africa and bring all of the countries together as one. And that's why there have been so many assassination attempts on his life. He is a military man. He came out of the military. He served as a captain before becoming the president of Burkina Faso. And he rejected to take on the salary of a president. He just maintained his military salary. So he didn't take the raise that comes with being the president of this country. He just stayed with his own military base salary, was like $120,000. And this decision presented a great demonstration of leadership and prioritizing his service and humility in serving the people of his region. And he has been very instrumental in, bringing the whole coalition of different parts of Africa together to unite as one and take away some of the foreign powers that are taking out the resources from Africa and taking it back to foreign countries. So this is why this man here is such an instrumental figure and one who is going to create or has already started to create world change. And if you are not familiar with him, I encourage you to look him up. His name is Ibrahim Traore, the president of Burkina Faso. I will type that in the chat so you can look him up for your own reference. So Christine, who do you have as a world changer that you see have making a big influence in our lives?
Well, I'm going to go back in history, and there's folks that really didn't understand that they were world changers, and that's a team that supported Ford when Ford Motors was coming on the forefront of the industrial age. Now that created so many jobs, and that to me is a world changer, not just in America, but worldwide. The automobile industry took off. I know Europe already was ahead, but the Ford industry, the Ford Motor Company, and the engineers behind the masterminds behind the Ford engineering really took off and impacted lives, thousands, millions of people employed, and not to mention industries founded and birthed out of the need for the automobile. So going from the horse and buggy straight into the automobile system. So I think those are world changers. A lot of world changers that are unnamed.
Yeah.
And so I want to pause here for a moment and think about the the analogy, if you will.
Hmm.
Some folks, you walk into a room and some folks are having such an attitude, and you're like, what world do they live in? You know, and that world is their mind. So if
Hmm.
you will, your mind is your world. That's the world you live in.
That's
So
right.
the power of the mind, and a lot of folks, when you're talking about world changers, are people that are actually able to change atmospheres when they walk into a room. You can change the mind, you can influence the mind of someone, you can influence the
Yes.
world.
Yes.
And I just want to encourage folks that on the scale that we've just seen, that great man of, man of valor. I look at that African leader that you just showed, that man of valor,
Mhm.
and some folks will be like, "Oh, I can't lead a country." I don't have a military background, but you still have influence, and influence is power.
That's right.
So as we think about changing worlds, you can change the world of a child in a matter of seconds. The perception of that child of themselves, that's really a huge influence. So I go back to the influence that the mindset of a world changer. Now, do the people like Steve Jobs, they wake up and say, you know what, I'm going to change the world, or did they say, hey, I'm going to go ahead and invent something? So
Mhm.
it's a calling, if you will. And so when we look at world changers also impacting the lives of many, the scientists and the engineers, namely the women, the black women who invented the GPS.
Wow.
Now, that wasn't an intention to, oh, I'm going to change the world, but when you help people, you do change their lives. You make their lives enhanced and better. So
That's right.
kudos to the women who invented the GPS. I'm just going to look here on my notes, and I'm going to call out Dr. Shirley Ann Jackson, the first
Mhm.
African American woman who earned her PhD at MIT. So these are world changers. So we do encourage folks to stay in school, stay focused, because you never know.
That's right. That's
You
right.
just never know.
Yeah. And although their intentions may not have been to change the world, they were just pursuing their dreams, their goals, and their desires in life. And look what it has led to. It completely changed the world dynamic. Now pretty much everybody is using a GPS. They have most of them installed in your cars now. So when you go to purchase a new car, the GPS is already installed. So look how she has impacted the world from that one invention. So yeah, that's just awesome. Want to extend greetings to my beautiful wife who has joined us. Sister Althea, blessings unto you. And we all,
Hello, hello, Althea. Hello, Tracy.
mhm,
Hello.
Trace,
And hello to Jody as well, who joined us. Happy to have you all.
excellent, excellent. So yes, as you are jumping on board, please leave us a comment. Let us know where you're tuning in from. We would love to acknowledge you and welcome you to the broadcast. And as stated previously, our topic for today is, can one person change the world? And Christine, you asked me earlier, how did I come about this topic for today? And it was very interesting because I was really struggling to find a topic to speak upon this week, today for Wednesday. And I was sharing with Christine that the reason why I came up with this topic is because we did a feeding through our ministry, which is the Dominion Worship Center. And we went to go out and feed the less fortunate in the Patterson, New Jersey area. And just through those interactions and hearing the stories of many people that we encountered, and they shared some of the things that they were going through. And, you know, it just goes to show that we can all make an impact and have an influence on the change of lives. And through those change of lives, we can start the process of changing the world and how we interact with one another just by giving a word of encouragement, a compliment, a smile, a warm gesture, some food, anything, but just showing that love in your heart in which you are willing to extend unto others. That's the first start. That's the start of change. And the change is going to start within you, and then it's going to manifest within others. So it all starts with one person taking that step and say, I'm going to do something different. I'm going to make a positive impact in the world. And then you can become a world changer.
Well said, Rob. Well said. Becoming a world changer. So true, says Tracy
Mhm.
Hendricks there in the chat. We've had a topic tonight that I hope is food for thought. And
Yeah,
even after we log off the broadcast today, you think about whose world you influence, whose world you can change. And I submit that the world is not just subject to or limited to the entire globe. The world is your home, your backyard. You can start there,
right.
and someone's experience, life experience, and how you can influence that. Because I'll say it again, that uh, influence is leadership and influence is power. We all have influence in some way, shape, or form.
We do.
So how do we go about changing that world that we know and that we live in? And so, in regards to the what's holding you back, is it something that's holding you back? Is there something that's gnawing at you, that invention or that idea that we just won't leave your train of thought to say, maybe I should do that, and you're dismissing it? Maybe that's something that the world needs. You
That's right.
never know.
You never know.
You never know. So if it just you have a reoccurring thought, a reoccurring idea, don't ignore it. It's
No.
it's an inner beacon, if you will. It's
Yes.
an inner beacon for you. Um, I want everyone to come back next week at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on what's holding you back, and we'll have another meaningful conversation. Today was all about, can one person change the world? Is your answer yes? Type it in the chat if your answer is yes. My
Yes.
answer used to be no, but it changed to yes. I could see that.
Okay. Okay. So
I
yeah.
could see that. If you look at even on the topic of belief, and how one person can change the world's belief, the world's perception, you
Yes.
know, on things and items, we can definitely have examples of that.
And it definitely starts with your belief system. What do you truly believe in? You know,
Mhm.
if you are really convicted in your spirit and you're going to pursue your goals and your dreams, as long as you believe and you're going to go through the fight, the battle, the trials, and the tribulations to prove yourself, then things will start to fall into place. But you have to be committed and know that it shall be. All you have to do is believe.
Have to believe it, and I think you're looking at the brave hearts of the world leaders over there in Africa that believe.
Yes,
18 attempts on one man's life and still going. If
that's right.
nothing but not backing down. That's a
Mhm.
belief, that's a calling, that's conviction, if you will.
That's
So,
right.
what's holding you back? What's convicting you? What is gnawing at you? Can't say it enough. Listen to that voice. You could be changing the world, you can be changing somebody's family's legacy. And we encourage you to listen and have some you time.
That's right. Well said, Christine. Well said. So, yes, family, we're not going to take up too much more of your time for today. We just want to thank each and every one of you for being a part of the broadcast this afternoon. And we hope that something was shared with you that inspired you, encouraged you, and make you want to go out and pursue your dreams, your goals, and your desires in life. So I want to encourage each and every one of you to go out and make sure that you share a word of kindness, share a smile, just instill something in the spirit of others as you're passing them along, and just, show that love. You never know how your smile can just brighten up and change someone's day, just from that simple little smile or a little compliment that you share with them can change their whole day.
Um, it was a really great topic, and thank you, Rob, for bringing it forward. It has me thinking, even beyond, like I said, even beyond us logging off. I'll be thinking about um, the influence
Hmm.
in the world changes, and what's our contribution here,
That's right.
right? What's our contribution here as fellow human beings?
Mhm.
So it was a really great conversation. I can't thank you enough for just bringing it forward, and thank the Dominion Center there in New Jersey for extending the love and influencing someone's day with a
Yes.
hot meal
Yes.
last week, changing their world even for one day.
Amen. Amen.
All right.
So, yes, we give thanks. So, yes, once again, we just want to thank each and every one of you for being a part of the broadcast this afternoon. And we look forward to seeing you next week at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on Wednesday, for another edition of What's Holding You Back. And on behalf of Christine Allen from Clear Ambitions, if you have not already done so, please go over and subscribe to her YouTube channel. And you can subscribe to my YouTube channel as well, which is Rob McCray Networking. So thank you so much for watching, and we look forward to seeing you next week for the next edition of What's Holding
You back. Go change the
Holding you
world.
back, holding you back from touching the sky. What's holding you back? You gotta fly like an eagle and go high. What's holding you back? Holding you back from touching the sky. Oh, holding you back. You finally gotta reach for the sky.